Looks like we're back at it again. But this time, I'm going once again to the Souls games, everyone's favorite hardcore challenging game genre that proves to test your skill. I'll be going through every Souls-like game and ranking them on a tier list, on whether they are good games or bad games. There's a lot to go through, so sit back and let us get started. Bloodborne is a great game to start with on this list. It's different than your normal Dark Souls genre since it's more faster paced, less weapon variety, and more focused on being aggressive through using your gun to parry opponents and then counter them back. Though this really rewards you with so much satisfaction, especially during boss fights, because it is so damn epic. Step dodging plays a big key role in this game by avoiding not only melee attacks but also enemies using guns. While this game also has a forgiving healing system using blood vials, it still does prove to be a big challenge since it's not really an easy game to conquer. Everyone is sure waiting for a sequel or at least a remake for this, game. Whenever that will happen, but I'm sure everyone will be ready. I'll put this game in S tier. Code Vein is basically an anime Dark Souls, but it didn't really enhance anything, but more on the lines of made things more bland than ever. Though I can see why people would like this. Hot anime waifus and a whole thing is basically anime, but come on. Anime or not, it doesn't really justify or help the game itself. It's not really that great.
But no offense.
It didn't exceed my expectations, and for that reason, I'll be putting this game in C tier. This is the start of one of the best game franchises to ever be created. Dark Souls 1 is a masterpiece, and I truly will never get tired of saying it. The game is endless hours of fun, great boss fights and enemy variety. It's actually not as hard as everyone says it is. I find Dark Souls 1 easier than 2 and 3.
That's too easy!
But I guess everyone just has their own preferences on what they find difficult. The glorious Estus Flask healing system that refills after sitting at the bonfire, tough boss fights with perfect execution, and the level design being extremely well thought out. I just love Dark Souls 1. S tier. Okay, now with Dark Souls 2, it's a little bit of a step backward from the first game. I don't like it, and it's not actually my favorite. But the biggest letdown in this game is the level designs. They are terrible.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
For instance, when you come across an area being so unforgiving, enemies placed around, every corner to ambush you, dying to a boss, and then having to repeat going back to it by traversing the terrible level area is what I call a nightmare. It may have, the same mechanics as the first game, well, similar mechanics, decent boss fights, but it just still doesn't really help. Though I do like the open hub area at the start, very open and beautiful. But overall, I'll be generous and put this in B tier. Dark Souls 3 made things a lot more challenging. Boss-wise, it did introduce phases which changed the way needed to fight bosses after reaching a certain point in their health. They get more aggressive or even unlock never seen before moves that you need to adapt to or change the way you play. This makes things even more challenging but fun at the same time.
That sounds good.
Great hub area, good level design and enemies. There is just so much in this game that make it a masterpiece, just like the first one. Even the DLC that brought in new bosses and weapons were completely badass. As the final entry to the Dark Souls series, it definitely is up there with the best of the best. S tier game. Demon Souls. Well, it's alright.
It's alright.
The level designs are good, but the game is so short, and the bosses aren't really fleshed out as the previous competition. People actually really prefer the original than the remake, which sounds crazy, but I guess better graphics doesn't really mean everything when the gameplay is exactly the damn same. Enemies are placed in the same place as the original, which make things very predictable, so yeah, it's okay. B tier. Remnant of the Ashes 1 and 2, very similar to games, in terms of gameplay, but at least a very fun take on the Souls-like genre using guns to shoot alien creatures. You get to pick between different classes to fit your playstyle and then go guns blazing by defeating a variety of enemies and bosses. Basically, it's just Dark Souls with guns. Neat in my opinion. I like the game. It's fun. A tier. Oh baby, From Software's ultimate masterpiece of a Souls game. Elden Ring to me will always be king when it comes to Souls games. It's just too damn good. Huge open world to explore, so many enemies and boss fights to you as you lose track of the main story and go wherever you want and side quests wherever you want. Level up or even over level yourself in some areas will be a breeze to go through, but if you're under leveled, then you may have a hard time doing, other stuff in different areas. So many weapons and builds, different ways to approach this game. The freedom is completely endless. S tier. Hollow Knight is like a 2D Souls-like platform game with really cool elements to it. Cool-looking boss fights, power-ups or abilities to collect and use it on your adventure, and tons to do. Though I really wouldn't say it's as crazy as the other Souls-like game, but it's more simple yet still very effective, and I sure did enjoy my time with this game. I'll put Hollow Knight in A tier. Mortal Shell, oh boy, okay, I guess I could say it's a decent Souls-like game, yet the only thing I'd point out is how very, very repetitive the game really is. You play as this warrior who can absorb other fallen warriors with different types of powers to use against enemies, some obviously a lot more useful than others. Of course, the world in Mortal Shell is extremely linear, much more linear than Dark Souls, and much more shorter as a game, and the worst part is, it's too easy and proves no challenge, to be honest.
Yeah, you suck.
Souls-like games are meant to be hard, but I don't know, man. I just didn't really feel it with this one. Though, I'll be generous and at least give this game a B tier. Lords of the Fallen. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I tried so damn hard to actually like this game, but it's like a copycat of Dark Souls 2, only much worse. Sure, you can say the game looks good visually, but everything else that really comes into play just ruins the experience. Constant ambush enemy attacks get super boring, enemy placements are terrible, and a variety is so lacking. You just get to see things you saw over and over again, and performance issues all around. Oh my god, it's really bad. It's just a disappointing game that I just wouldn't recommend. C tier. Neo 2 is so much better than 1, let's just get that fact out of the way. This game really captures the essence of epicness in its engaging combat and addicting system. So many weapons lead to different playstyles, which is great to explore, although the game is more, mission-based, going on the map and then landing in a designated location to complete that mission and then beat the boss. It's more like that rather than open world, but still very fun to play. A tier. Finally, we got Sekiro, another From Software masterpiece and arguably the hardest Souls game said by many people. Remember though, everyone has opinions. Featuring a fleshed out, amazing storyline, epic samurai-like combat, and also quite the unforgiving challenge through its intense boss battles, it's non-stop fun. But the main way you'll beat bosses is by lowering their posture above their health. Getting that all the way up to red will get you a shinobi death blow. Such an awesome journey. I'm actually really thinking of playing this game all over again. S tier. That is all I have for this video, and this is, all the Souls-like games ranked on a tier list. Thank you all so much for watching. Drop a like and subscribe for more rankings and tier lists, and I'll be catching you all in the next one.